he crushed French armies, captured a king, won the hearts of a nation, and yet, he never wore the crown. This is the story of Edward of Woodstock, the man history calls the Black Prince. Warrior, legend, heir to the throne of England, and perhaps the greatest king that never was. Born in 1330 into the House of Plantagenet, Edward was the eldest son of King Edward III and Philippa of Hainault. From the moment of his birth, he was not just heir to the throne, he was a symbol. A future king meant to secure and expand England's dominion. And that meant war. At 7, he was named Earl of Chester, and a year later, Prince of Wales. These were not decorative titles. They were tools. His father intended to shape him not only as a ruler, but as a weapon. His first trial came at the Battle of Crécy in 1346. 16 years old, given command of the vanguard in one of the war's most pivotal battles. The French outnumbered the English 2-1, led by King Philip VI. And when Edward's position came under pressure, Edward III famously replied, "Let the boy win his spurs." And that he did. The French collapsed. Crécy was a slaughter. The English longbow sang, and Edward, the boy general, emerged a hero. He followed this with the siege of Calais, capturing the city after 11 grueling months. Calais would remain an English stronghold for over 2 centuries. In 1348, his father founded the Order of the Garter, a chivalric brotherhood steeped in Arthurian imagery. Edward was its first knight. He was no longer just a prince. He was the image of kingship itself. But his greatest victory came at Poitiers in 1356. Deep in French territory, commanding a smaller force, Edward faced King John II of France. Outmaneuvered and cut off, he chose not to retreat, but to fight. And when the dust settled, France was broken. The king himself was captured, along with his son. An unthinkable humiliation. Edward treated King John with honor and generosity, like a true knight. The ransom, 3 million crowns. The Treaty of Bretigny secured temporary English dominance. Edward was at his zenith. But then came Aquitaine. In 1362, his father granted him the principality. From warrior to ruler. But ruling is harder than war. The Gascon nobility resisted taxation. His court in Bordeaux became a nest of intrigue. And then another campaign, this time in Castile. He backed Pedro the Cruel against Henry of Trastamara. The Battle of Najera was a tactical success, but his army suffered, disease spread, and the treasury emptied. And Edward himself began to fade. No one knows what he suffered from. Chronic fatigue, weight loss, intestinal agony. We can't be sure, but we know this. From the 1370s, the Black Prince was a shadow of the knight he'd once been. And yet, even then, he continued fighting. At Limoges, when the city defected to the French, he laid siege. When it fell, his forces sacked it. Chroniclers claim thousands died, perhaps exaggerated, perhaps not. But the legend of chivalry was tarnished. The prince, who had once spared kings, now ordered massacres. Or so the story goes. He returned to England in 1371, broken and withdrawn, occasionally active in court, even supporting parliamentary reform. But by 1376, his strength failed. He died on June 8th, aged just 45. He never saw the throne. His father outlived him. The crown passed instead to his 10-year-old son, Richard of Bordeaux, a boy unready for the burden. Edward was buried in Canterbury, at the shrine of Thomas Becket. His tomb bears an inscription, "Such as thou art, sometime was I. Such as I am, such shalt thou be. The name Black Prince would only emerge centuries later. Some say it refers to his armor, others to his fury. But the truth, it doesn't really matter, because his legacy is a paradox. A prince who won everything but the crown. A knight of legend, shadowed by war. The king that never was. But now, I want to hear from you. What kind of king do you think Edward would have been? Could he have changed England's fate? Or was his legacy always destined to live in legend, not law? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and if you want to follow up on his son, Richard II, let me know. That story is even messier.